It's Cass from Healing Heart Recovery. I just wanted to jump on and do a video. It's going to be a quick one. I didn't do a video yesterday, really. I decided to take a little bit of a break. I've been feeling really tired, and I just thought, it's time to take care of myself for a little bit. But some things that I did this weekend, which I wanted to talk about quickly, some healing things that you guys can do, specifically with your inner child, and also, getting out in nature and really helping heal your soul that way. So this weekend I took yesterday I took an hour and a half walk in nature, or hike if you want to call it, with one of my sisters and my son. So that was awesome. It was beautiful out. The sun was shining. I had my son hug a tree. I most certainly did, because I like to connect with nature. It's really good to connect with nature. If I could be outside all the time and walk around barefoot, I would. That's just me, though. But we went on this walk, and it's at a park local to my house, and it's beautiful. I love it there. There is a lake, a picnic area, a hiking area, then there's a couple soccer fields. There is a playground for the kids. There's a baseball diamond. But we went into the hiking area, and we were out there for a good hour and a half, I want to say. And it's so beautiful. Getting out in nature is so healing for your soul. It is so healing for you. Excuse me. Also, being out in the sun is super healing. If you can sit out in the sun, even if it's 5-10 minutes a day, it's super healing for your body. So that's what I did yesterday. I took some time out for myself, and we went and did that. Then last night, my son and we did some coloring. I have a couple of those adult coloring books, but I never use them. He had his coloring books, so we did some coloring. We watched a movie, came back and did more coloring. Watched more of a movie, came back, did more coloring. Then we played with slime. We played with toys. We had Nerf gun fights. And all these things that I'm doing with my son, they're all things that are fun for me. And today, my son and I, we went to the creamery local to my house, and we saw the cows. We saw some chickens. We got some ice cream. Then we decided to go to another park over by where I live, and we were going to go hiking, but little did I know the hiking trails where I was going. I hadn't been hiking at this place in years and never went on these trails. So we go up these stairs and we go up the hiking trails, and the trails start thinning out, and there's nothing on the side but a drop down. And that made me super nervous because my son is only 5. And had it just been me and another adult, that would have been completely fine. But being with a 5-year-old on a thin trail where there is just a wall that drops down made me so nervous. Made me, I want to say I did have a mini heart failure, I think. I kind of started freaking out a little bit, and I'm sharing this because this is my outlet, and maybe you guys feel the same way too. I kind of started freaking out, and I was like, oh my gosh, what am I gonna do? Like, we have to get back down, but I was afraid to get him back down, and he was already scared, and I think I freaked him out a little bit more. Not on purpose, but I was really nervous. Finally, I sat him down on the side and I talked to him, and I'm like, we have to go back down, because he wanted to keep going, which I was just too nervous with him being 5 and, not having the experience on a path or a trail that thin with no wall there or anything else on the side but a drop down. So I tried to explain to him, we have to go back down, and he was scared to go back down. But finally, we talked it out, and we went back down. We walked really slowly, and I told him he could slide on his butt if he needed. We could walk down on our butts, but we walked down really slow, and finally we got back down. So that was a little bit of an adventure. Then we played with my neighbor's dog, which was awesome. And then we came home. We did some painting, more coloring. We were outside on the deck in the sun. And all these things, doing things with your kids. Um, Coloring. I play with Play Doh with my son, and Play Doh is something from my childhood that I absolutely loved. I'm a weirdo. I've always loved the smell of Play Doh. I can't tell you why, but I've loved it since I was a kid, and I love it still. But having Nerf gun fights, playing with Play Doh, coloring, painting. I myself wouldn't think to pick up a paintbrush and paint, but my son was like, I want to paint, Mommy, I want to paint. So we sat down and painted. And those are just things that if you spend the time with your kids to sit down and do some of the things that they like to do, you don't realize it, but you're working on healing your inner child. And you might wonder, oh, what does that mean, healing your inner child? Now, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a licensed professional in any way. I do know that healing your inner child comes with shadow work, whether you're going through a spiritual awakening or not. If you're just trying to heal yourself in general, that is part of shadow work. And the inner child is, it's the emotions that we as children, if we've suffered neglect, trauma, um, abandonment, emotional pain when we were younger, all those things that we stuff down inside and bury, and pretend aren't there, until one day something happens and we're triggered and those things come out. You know, um, maybe you, um, maybe you're in a situation and somebody says, it could even be something that somebody says to you that maybe your parents said to you or something similar when you were a child, and it triggers something in you and brings back all this flood of emotion, this emotional pain that you had as a kid. And we don't realize how much the pain of our childhood affects us. So, working on healing our inner child can help free us from the guilt, the shame, the emotional pain, the depression, the anxiety that comes along with that. And like I said, I'm not a trained professional, I'm not a therapist, anything like that, but I would like to start doing some research on the inner child and shadow work in general and sharing that on my page, since this page is a healing page, and teaching people how to help heal themselves. Um, but I just wanted to tell you, if you have, nieces, nephews, you have kids, do those things with the kids. I know we're all full of responsibilities in our lives, like we have to clean the house, we have to do the laundry, we have to mow the lawn, we have to take care of the yard, the cars, work, all this other stuff. But take the time to play with your children or your nieces, your nephews, doing those little things that, playing with Play-Doh, having Nerf gun fights, taking the time out to build Legos. What else? Painting, paint by number, coloring, having, a color session, playing board games, all those things. You don't realize those are things that help you heal your inner child as you do them, because it brings back a sense of joy for you while you're doing these things. And it's helping you heal those parts of you when maybe you were a child that you didn't get to. Maybe when you were a kid, you didn't get to play board games. Maybe you didn't have time to play. Maybe you didn't, your parents didn't have money. You didn't get to enjoy those things. So by playing with children, doing things with children, going for ice cream with kids, acting like a fool once in a while, I think as adults we forget that we don't always have to be um, on. And when I say on, like, I don't have to always be in mom mode. Yes, I have to make sure my child is safe and protected, which I always do, but I can play with my son and act like a kid sometimes. Those are things that we forget as adults, and it really helps heal you when you do that, when you just let go and let loose once in a while. When we have our Nerf gun fights, I love it. I'm not, the only thing I'm worried about is making sure we don't hit each other in the eyes. No faces, nothing in the face. Other than that, we're having fun. We're running around, we're laughing, we're screaming, we're joking, we're having our Nerf gun fights. So I will put I'm going to put in the description box some inner childhood wound healing frequencies, some links to those. But try to get outside in nature with your kids. Try to do some fun activities that you wouldn't normally do with your children, or even something that you like to do as a kid with your children. If you don't have kids, your nieces, your nephews. Um, Doing those things will help heal that inner child in you. One thing I was talking to my son about is when I was a kid, one of the things I loved was playing with worms and making mud pies. That was like my thing. I was a tomboy when I was a kid, and we had a tree house. We had this big area where there was, a bunch of dirt and rocks. And I used to take the mud and the rocks and pretend to make food, and that, was big mud pies. And I would dig for worms. And those are things like I've told my son, we're going to do that. Once it gets warmer outside and the ground is softer, which it's working out to be now, we're doing those things. And it's because it's something that I found to be fun as a kid. It's something that's going to be healing to me, but he also likes that kind of stuff. So we can do it together. Um, so I hope this video maybe helped you in some way. Just try not to take life so seriously. If you pay attention to kids, kids don't know all the stresses that go on in life, and they really will, have fun. Just have fun with your kids or your nieces and nephews, and work and help heal your inner child inadvertently. I hope everyone has had a great weekend and this video helps someone in some way. I will talk to you guys later. Have a good night.